everybody. Welcome to Takeoff with John Clark, presented by Makefield Putters. And let's bring in the Hall of Famer, Ray Didinger. He's got a new play coming out, Spinner. We're going to talk to you about that. But, Ray, how you feeling about the Birds? 2-0.
Right.
And, some people have some questions about the passing game. But how you feeling about the Birds?
You said it, John, 2-0. I mean, it's that time of the NFL season. It's the month of September. Teams coming out of the preseason, they still have stuff to work on. Nick Sirianni will be the first one to tell you that. You're 2 games in. Saquon Barkley hasn't had a 100-yard game yet. Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet, but you are 2-0. And, I still feel this is a good team, and I feel they're built to go the distance. You thought that with the preseason being the way it was, and with so many of the starters not playing, that it would take them a little while to get things synced up, and I think that's what you're seeing. But the key is you're winning these games. Last year they started slow and they lost 2 of the first 4, and then they had to really kick it to get back to the postseason. Now they're having their struggles, and the yardage and the pictures don't look pretty. But the fact is you're winning those games, and that's really what they have to do.
So if I was to ask you, going into this season, hoping that they can repeat, are you more confident they can repeat, less confident, or do you have the same opinion you had going in after seeing them 2-0?
Pretty much the same, I think. I look at this roster, and it's still really good. You look at the competition around you, the rest of the NFC. I've seen Washington now. I think they've taken a little bit of a step back. Dallas and the Giants are Dallas and the Giants. The Eagles are the class of this division. And I know nobody ever repeats as a division champion in this division. That's been true for generations, it seems like. But I certainly think the Eagles are the class of this division and will be again. And really, it just gets back to where you are at this point in the season. You're just trying to put things together. Got new players. You got a new offensive coordinator. It's a really good team that right now is looking to find its stride. And this will be a good test for them because the Rams are a really good team. I mean, if you look down the NFC, you're saying, okay, who are the teams that can really challenge the Eagles? Well, the Packers for sure, because I think the Packers are really good. But the next best team in this division, the next best team in this conference may well be the Rams. I may surprise you by saying this, John. I think the Rams are better than the Chiefs. So, I know the Eagles felt like they had a real test last week against the Chiefs, and they did. But I really think after watching some film of the Rams, I think the Rams are better than the Chiefs. And even though the game's here, I think it's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I agree, Ray. I think the Rams are their toughest test so far, especially, with the talk here in Philly about the Eagles don't have enough big plays in the passing game. The Rams lead the NFL with 11 big passing plays, 11 plays of 20 or more yards. And Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Matthew Stafford looking like one of the best passing attacks in football. So we have talked about Vic Fangio's defense. It's amazing how early he's gotten all these new players and young players together. Are they really going to be tested, especially with Adoree Jackson still starting at one of those cornerback spots?
Oh, they'll be tested for sure. You just mentioned it, they've got really good players. Matthew Stafford is and has been for a long time, I think, one of the best pure passers in the league. Puka Nacua is a top-level receiver. They've added Devontae Adams, who's an elite receiver and has been for a long time. They have a couple of good tight ends. And they have Sean McVay. I think they have one of the best play callers in the league. So offensively, they are very good. And the Eagles are still trying to sort things out in the secondary. Mitchell is, I think, a really good player. And DeJean is a really good player. And I think they've got good players back there. But I'm still looking for some consistency at that other corner. I'm still not convinced, just as we all kind of felt during the preseason, that Adoree Jackson is the answer. And I think you're going to get a real test this week because you got a Rams team that's coming in. It's got a lot of good players and a really good coach, and they're going to test you. If you have holes in your secondary, the Rams will find them.
The thing that really impressed me about going to Kansas City and Arrowhead, they had the longest home winning streak in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback at home since he's coming to the NFL. The thing that really impressed me is you've got the Chiefs coming off the Super Bowl loss to the Eagles. They had the extra motivation, the extra chip on their shoulder, the extra edge to try to get redemption, revenge game. So the Rams, to me, they pose the biggest threat to the Eagles along the way to winning the Super Bowl. I mean, Jalen Carter, without him, who knows, maybe the Rams score in the snow with Matthew Stafford. So do you see the Rams coming in here thinking revenge here after losing that game here at the Link?
Absolutely. Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, because they have double revenge because they lost the game at home, the game when Saquon Barkley broke all the records. And then they got a rematch here in the snow, a game in which it looked like they were totally out of it. After the long Barkley run, you figure this game's over. You know, the Rams are just going to pack their bags, get on the plane and fly back to California. And they didn't. I mean, they fought back. And on that last drive, you know, everybody talks about the postseason last year. And in retrospect, it felt easy, you know. Championship game with Washington, that felt easy. The Super Bowl against the Chiefs felt really easy. People forget that before all of that, Rams had you on the ropes here at the Link. And so don't forget that. And I'm sure they didn't forget that. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a real test, John, because of that factor, because the Rams want to even the score. That's a natural human reaction. But more than that, a couple of the things you're worried about with the Eagles right now, and a lot of it in the pass defense, is you're going to be really tested because the Rams have the personnel and the coaching and the system that can exploit a defense that has those kinds of weaknesses.
Yeah, and as much as I think Vic Fangio has done a great job with this defense already, they've only given up 7 points in the second half against the Cowboys and the Chiefs. They've made adjustments. They've looked really, really good. But you could say if C.D. Lamb catches one of those passes at the end of the game in the season opener, or Travis Kelce, he's a future Hall of Famer, he dropped that ball. If he catches that ball, goes into the end zone, the Chiefs are up. So you could say the Eagles have gotten some good breaks against their secondary in the first 2 games as well.
True. And, you know, there is, if you also going back to the Kansas City game, there's that other moment where they have Thornton wide open, and Mahomes misses him. I mean, that's a touchdown right there. And, you know, that was an Adoree Jackson play. That was his responsibility. So, yeah, I mean, those kinds of things do worry you. Listen, the Makuba play in that game changes everything. I mean, the Chiefs are on a 13-play drive starting at their 20. They've now moved it down. They're on your doorstep. And you're right. I mean, that pass play, Mahomes to Kelce, John, they've completed that pass 1,000 times. It's one of their favorite routes. But this time, Mahomes threw it a little quick. Kelce hadn't completely turned around. Ball goes off his hands. The rookie makes the interception, runs it back 41 yards. The Eagles take it in, push it for a touchdown. That's 14 points turnaround there. And what proves to be a 3-point game. I mean, that's, if you want to do the old play of the game thing, that's clearly it. And you're going to have to make a couple stands against this Rams team, too, down in the red zone. And your guys are going to have to come with those kinds of plays. I thought it was interesting in this game. We all talked a lot after the Super Bowl about how the Eagles got great pressure on Mahomes without blitzing. You know, Vic Fangio didn't blitz one time. It was a 4-man pressure the whole game, and they got it. This game, Vic had a blitz, you know, and he blitzed a fair amount in the second half of that game, and effectively good. But I think what he's saying, he's telling you there is he wasn't getting as much pressure from his front four as he would like. And that's something you're going to have to look at now is, you know, the loss of Sweat, the loss of Williams, the loss of BG. Is that being felt a little bit? Because you're going to have to get that pressure, or Vic is going to have to find a way of creating it.
It's interesting because when you see what the defense has done so far in these first 2 games, the offense brings back 10 of 11 starters, whatever. You know, they're bringing back most of their starters. And then on defense, you lost all those players that you mentioned, and you've got so many young players mixed in. We didn't even know who technically was going to be starting a couple weeks out from the season. Is it pretty impressive what has happened with the defense so far? Is the defense ahead of the Eagles' offense so far, or is it just the Eagles' offense is being a little conservative to start the season here, not turn it over?
Yeah, no, well, conservative maybe to a point, but I think it's a matter of execution. I think the coaches would even tell you that. This offensive line, we've said it for a long time, and rightly so, it's the best in football. It really is. This offensive line is the best. They have not played like it through 2 weeks, you know, which is not a huge surprise when you consider that most of those guys, all but Steen, didn't play in the preseason. So they're just trying to put it together. And the timing between Barkley and the offensive line isn't quite where it was last year. Now, they'll get there. The more they work at it, they'll get there, but they're not there right now. And listen, Barkley got 88 yards against Kansas City, and he worked and earned every one of them. It wasn't an easy yard in the bunch. And that's this week. I may be proven wrong. I think that this is a week when Barkley's going to get going. I think you're going to see it because the matchup of the Eagles' offensive line against the Rams' front, which is on the smallish side and built for speed, that's why the Eagles dominated them in the 2 games last year. It's physically, it's just not a fair match at the line of scrimmage. The Eagles' offensive line really can impose its will on the Rams, and I kind of think that's going to be the game plan coming in. Now, the Rams are going to set up their thing. They're not going to let Barkley beat them. That's what they're going to say again. But I think that matchup there, if the Eagles' offensive line is playing as well as it can play, really favors the Eagles. So everybody's kind of waiting for Barkley to have that breakout game. I think this could be it.
Good point. And it's fascinating here when the Eagles are 2-0 and I'm listening to Sports Talk Radio and everybody's concerned about the passing attack. But when you hear Kevin Patullo talk, you hear Jalen Hurts, you hear Nick Sirianni, they talk about the number one factor in football, winning the turnover battle. And the Eagles are something like 36-2 when they win the turnover battle with Nick Sirianni. So we hear maybe there's a little conservative approach. Kevin Patullo says you kind of you base your approach on the way the game's going. And if the defense, it's a defensive battle in Kansas City, okay, maybe we're not going to take that shot. We're not going to take that risk of Jalen Hurts getting hit, turning it over. So do you think that they are taking a conservative approach in the beginning based on the way these games have gone, especially in Kansas City where they say, okay, if one turnover happens, which it did with Travis Kelce turning it over, that could be the difference in the game, and it wound up being the difference in the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's, John. I think they go into every game with that as maybe the priority is win the turnover, the giveaway, takeaway. I think not, and that doesn't make them unique. I mean, I think every team preaches that, but this team, I mean, they're kind of built on that is winning the giveaway, takeaway. And what really turned last season around was exactly that. I mean, through 4 games, the Eagles, I mean, they were getting some yards, they were making some plays, but they were turning the ball over way too much. That was what was killing them. After that, they sort of changed the offense. They went to more of a running game. They sort of reined in the passing game a bit. And all of a sudden, that giveaway, takeaway thing just flipped. And so did the season. Well, that's what they're doing right now. Is the play calling a little conservative? In some spots, maybe yes. But I think what you're seeing, at least to me, to a larger degree, is they just haven't found, and this may be partly the new offensive coordinator, they just have not found a offensive rhythm. They just, when you see when a team is really clicking, you can almost feel it. They have a rhythm in the play calling. They have a rhythm in the execution. One play leads to the next play, leads to the next play, and you can just kind of feel it. And teams get on drives, and they're just in control of the game and control of their own offense. The Eagles haven't gotten there yet. I mean, they've hit a couple big plays. I mean, the one Hurts pass to Dodson was a huge play in the Dallas game. I mean, that sets up one Barkley touchdown. And then in this game, 3rd and 10, a pass rusher right in Hurts' face. He lays the ball up there. Devontae Smith comes around, makes the big catch. That sets you up for a push touchdown. I mean, he hasn't thrown for big yardage, and he hasn't thrown for a touchdown yet. But in a couple of key spots, one in each game, Hurts has made the big throw when it needed to be made. So it's there. They can do it, but they just haven't yet. Again, we're kind of at that point where week 3, they just haven't quite put everything together offensively. But I think they're going to have to this week because I don't think you're going to throw for 100 yards and beat the Rams. I just don't think so. I think the Rams are too good. So I think the Eagles are going to have to step up their passing game and the whole offense. And I'm sure that that's one of the messages that Nick Sirianni has been preaching all week.
Hey, I'm John Clark, and we are here in Bensalem, PA at Makefield Putters. And I got to tell you, we want to thank them for being our new sponsors of the Takeoff podcast. And I've got putting issues when I get out there. I'm 6'5", and I had to get a custom putter. When I got this custom putter here, it changed my putting game. When it's wintertime and we go get jackets, different size people need different size jackets. Well, we got to get a custom putter for our size, our type of swing and everything. They break it all down for you. They build up the putter from scratch. They have all the data, the analytics, the statistics to get you to be a good putter. And when I came here to Makefield Putters and I started to use my custom putter, I got to tell you, I make it with Makefield. So next time you're on the course with Makefield Putters, go birdies. And last year, Ray, we heard a lot of people when the Eagles found their formula of being a running team with Saquon Barkley and then being efficient in the passing game, they said, can they sustain this and win a Super Bowl? Well, the Eagles proved they can. And Jalen had a couple big passing games. Now, if you look at the numbers, okay, so far, he's averaging 119 passing yards a game, second fewest in the NFL. But there was a long stretch last year where they were second or third fewest passing yards in the NFL. Last year was 188 passing yards, fourth fewest in the NFL, and they won the Super Bowl. So are they able to do that again with the formula, or do they need more out of the passing game? Because they are facing some better teams this year, some tough games on the road, some tough offenses.
Everything you said is true. But, you know, I don't think you can evaluate the Eagles team by the standards of all the other teams in the league, because what the Eagles are, the way they're built offensively, and the way they play the game offensively, they're different from everybody else. I mean, they have a different approach, they have a different philosophy, they have different kinds of athletes, and in a league where it's all about the pass and it's all about big scores and big numbers, you know, everybody else is playing fantasy football in the NFL. And the Eagles are playing old school football. It's basically kind of what it comes down to. So I'm not worried about the stats, where they rank here and there. I'm not really worried about that. I'm just worried about the giveaway takeaway factor. If they continue to be on the plus side of that, then I think they're going to be fine. You know, everybody wants to focus on Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown a touchdown pass yet. I look at the other side. Well, he hadn't thrown an interception yet either. He hadn't turned the ball yet. And that's really the way this team is built. And you know, I think this is going to be a really good test this week. You know, they've got 2 games under their belt. They won them both. They're sitting in a pretty good position. But I think this team is the best team they've faced. And I think this is the biggest test, even in this ballpark. I think it's going to be the biggest test. Let's see how much better this team is going to be, because they're going to have to be better to beat these guys, I think. And let's see if they're up to the task.
I agree with you. And then they got to go on the road to Tampa Bay against the playoff team as well. It's great when we were talking about the formula, and the Eagles have that weapon that no one else has called the tush push. And it is now the subject of the NFL again, because you saw in the game, the Chiefs 4th and 1, Andy Reid's going for it like Barry Switzer on his own end, doesn't get it because they can't get a yard. The Eagles, I think 5-6 times tush push, and that's how they won the game. They closed out the game. They got their touchdown. But we're hearing everybody, Dean Blandino, analysts, the Chiefs are complaining about Eagles being offside, false starting. Do you think the chatter is getting strong again, and it will lead to the tush push being eliminated after this season?
Yes and yes. I really do. And I think what you just said, that's for the league to review this and take it out of the game. The owners and the other teams, and there's a bunch of them, that want to get rid of it. For the basic reason is that the Eagles are really good at it and they're not. That's when you get right down to it, that's what it's about. But you can't bring that before the competition committee and get them to accept that. So you have to give them some sort of an argument that you can take to the boardroom and win. Not just wah, we can't do it. No, it has to be something that you can argue logically. Last year, they tried the injury factor. Last year, they tried to say, oh, it's an unsafe play. Guys are going to get hurt. And the Eagles answered it with, nobody's gotten hurt. Look, show us the stats. Well, they weren't there. That's why it survived. So all of these people that want to get rid of it, now they have to come up with another argument. And, John, this is the argument. And the argument will be that it's an impossible play to officiate, that it puts the officials in an unfair position. They can't see that motion. If you look back at the tape of the game against the Chiefs, the Eagles did have people in motion. Andy Reid was right in being angry about that. So that's going to be their argument. They're going to show that film. They're going to say, how do you expect the officials to call these plays. They can't see it. So that's going to be their argument. And I guarantee you, if the Eagles win another Super Bowl, a lot of teams are going to be making it. They didn't get it with the injury argument last year, but the officiating argument, they may. And that's where this thing is headed. With each week, with each game that the Eagles win, with a couple of these conversions, that is going to get louder and louder. And that is going to be the offseason argument. It's an unfair situation for the officials. Therefore, it has to go.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a defense attorney just trying to find some sort of defense that they can come up with and go into trial and get their client off it. They're finding a way. And it's funny because I think the Bills and other teams, I can't remember if the Chiefs voted against it. I don't think they should be allowed to run the tush push, which the Bills have continued to do if you vote against it.
Right. The Bills, yeah, exactly. The Bills have done it, and they voted against it. The team that's been sort of out front are the Packers. The Packers they're the ones that are out front in this argument. Mark Murphy, their president, he's the one that's sort of the spokesman for it. And what's really interesting about this is, John, I really think looking down the road, I think the NFC Championship game could very well be Eagles-Packers. It really could. And could you imagine with all of this talk, if it comes down to the Eagles getting a key conversion with a tush push, and that's the difference of sending them to the Super Bowl? Could happen, because I think the Packers are really good. And it would not surprise me at all if the Eagles and Green Bay are the two teams left standing in the NFC when it's all said and done.
I agree. That would be great theater. And you know all about theater, Ray, of course, because you're coming out with another play, Spinner, and it is going to be out September 17th through October 5th in Wilmington, Delaware. Before I ask you about that, I want to ask you one other question. Sure. When I look at this Eagles roster, and it's just amazing to me the amount of talent you have all over the roster, and now you have young guys coming in where you could say, hey, Jahad Campbell, my goodness, he could be a top 3, top 5 linebacker in the NFL, for the next 10, 12 years. But even special teams, I mean, Jake Elliott, he's tied for the most 50-yard field goals in the NFL this year, 3 for 3. Braden Mann, he's been fantastic punting. Special teams, offense, defense. Is this, once again, the most talented team in the NFL, or is there a more talented team?
No, I think it is. And, the Jake Elliott factor is worth mentioning, because last year during the regular season, there was a lot of concern about Jake Elliott. I mean, there was a lot of people that are thinking maybe the Eagles needed to change kickers before the postseason, which I thought was crazy. I mean, Jake Elliott's been too good for too long to pull the plug on him, and he went to the postseason and made every big kick. And now this year he's come back and he looks like he looks like he's back in the groove. And I think this whole season, I think the 17 games are going to play out very much like the last 2 games. I think they're all going to be close, John. I think they're all going to be close going into the fourth quarter. And you're going to need Jake Elliott to be hitting a lot of big kicks late in the games. Not necessarily walk-offs, but late third quarter, fourth quarter, it's going to come down to a big kick. And now you have total confidence that Jake Elliott can make it. By the way, John, I got to give you a stat here.
I love it.
Through the first 2 weeks, I did the math. Because every game I watched over the weekend, guys are kicking 50-yard field goals like nothing. So I went back and did the math. There have been 35 field goal attempts in the NFL through 2 weeks of 50 yards or longer. The kickers have made 29 of 35 from 50 or beyond. That's how good the kicking is in the NFL right now. And the Eagles, once again, have one of the best.
And Ray, some of those kicks that you're watching could be good from 70. Somebody's going to hit 70-plus yard field goal this year, right?
Oh, it'll happen this year for sure.
Yeah, it is amazing. Well, we've got a very, very talented Eagles football team, maybe the most talented. And Ray, you are so talented. Congratulations on another play. And it debuts tomorrow, September 17th through October 5th in Wilmington, Delaware, the Delaware Theater Company. It is the world premiere of Spinner. So you're kind of spinning into hockey, right? You did football, Tommy and me, and now you're getting into hockey, huh?
Yeah, it's a story about from the NHL of the 1970s, the slap shot era. And that rough and tumble thing is part of the story. And it's a story I wrote originally 50 years ago when I was still in newspapers. And I always had a feeling that I would write it again. Somewhere along the line, I had a feeling I would write this story again. And now I've written it as a play. And we open September 17th at Delaware Theater Company, and we run all the way through October the 5th. We have some wonderful special guests that are going to come take part. Bernie Perrant, the Watson brothers, Brian Propp, Angelo Cataldi. A lot of people are coming out to take part in watch the play and then do a Q&A after. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I hope people come out and see it.
Amazing. And where can people get tickets for this?
Go to the Delaware Theater Company website, and you'll see the Spinner logo. Just click on that. It'll give you the rundown of all the Q&A hosts, and it'll also give you a link to buy your tickets. And hope you can come out. It's a little different. Tommy and Me was the ultimate feel-good story, I think. Spinner is pretty dark, and it's a true story, like Tommy and Me, but it's a different kind of story that it's about a father and a son and their shared dream of the son playing in the NHL. And what the story shows you, and the question it asks you is, what price are you willing to pay to live out your dream? That's what Spinner's really about.
That's awesome. And I love the theme of father and son, or in the case of Tommy and you, a young boy, a teenager getting to know his idol. So I love those, the familial aspects of it and the relationships, because it's so cool. Good luck with Spinner. Good luck with Spinner. An amazing project. The Eagles are trying to repeat as Super Bowl champs, and you've already got your repeat going here. So this is pretty impressive.
Well, I appreciate that, John. And don't forget, Tommy and Me is coming back to People's Light in Malvern 2 days after Spinner closes. Tommy and Me opens at People's Light in Malvern. So it's been quite a run, and I'm really excited about it, and I'm really thrilled.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations, Ray, on that.
Thank you, John.
And another incredible project. Everybody go out and see Spinner, the Delaware Theater Company. It's going to be out there September and October. So get out there and get your tickets. Ray Didinger, the Hall of Famer. Maybe you will become a Hall of Famer in the play industry as well. Good possibility here.
Listen, I just want to get up on the stage and have some people come out and enjoy themselves.
Well, they came out to see Tommy and Me. Incredible. I came out to see it. I appreciated you having me that night. It was an awesome play. So I'm sure Spinner's going to be awesome as well. Congrats.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that very much.
All right, Ray. Great catching up with you.
Great seeing you again, John. Take care.
Raiders. Oh, mom, so flagrant.